afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television two different ways: Channel 182 in North Alabama. You can also find us on Abundant TV, which is found on Roku. Alabama is all over the place, but Roku, Amazon, and what's another Fire Stick? We're on all of them. So you can find us any way you want to, but the easiest way is actually on using Roku. And so we got the stick. All you have to do is just have a smart TV and you're ready to go. Or you can actually go online and find us that way as well. And so, anyway, abundanttv.com, you'll find us that way as well. But thank you so much for watching. I have with me a very special friend. His name is Rick Staines, and he's a security specialist and does all kinds of stuff. He's on a farm now. Would you have thought back in, when was it, 2005, we knew each other, that we would be farmers?
No, no. In fact, when I did the video the other day of me on the farm, if someone had asked me, did I ever see myself in that position or on a piece of land like this, I'd have gone like, no, there was no way. But, eventually I love it. I do. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really neat. So do you have any animals out there yet?
No. We won't get animals until next year. I think the only thing we've got right now is the fish. And so, 500 catfish. Yeah. I look after them. I mean, they get fed because there's no natural food in the pond. So I have to feed them the floating fish food.
Mm-hmm. So did you buy the fish, or were they already in the pond?
No, they were already in the pond. The guy that had the land beforehand had stocked it with 800 catfish.
Oh, wow.
For his son to catch catfish. I'm like, big excessive for the size of the pond, but they're doing well right now. I mean, they get fed every 3 days. Every 3 days, we try and do it. And they're looking good. They've grown a lot since I've been here. So
we got bass fish out here.
Yeah, I need to get some mix in there. I need to get some bass in there too, but I can't get anything too small because the catfish will eat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you know how to fillet fish?
A long time ago, I was actually a butcher in the UK, and I went to work at the Hilton for about 3 days. And they told me that whilst I was also a butcher, I was also a fishmonger and had to, they call them a parlor chef. And I was going to be boning out or filleting, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of salmon. So I quit. I was like, no, that's what I wasn't interested in being a fishmonger or handling fish. So I just quit. So I can do it. But I probably need some practice right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I fillet our fish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And if you want to get rid of if Mother's coming over to the house, I say, got to fillet some fish. She goes the other way. She was raised on a farm and cannot stand stuff like that. So
yeah, it's funny because there's people here. My wife can't stand the fact that, I've talked to her about butchering animals too. And even the previous owner said, you realize how much money you could make if they found out that you can actually butcher animals. And she's like, well, I don't want you butchering animals on the farm. I'm like, you know what farms do as well, but it's just, I guess it's just she goes, we don't have the facilities. We kind of do. They just need to be, prepped a little bit. So you have, more of if you're going to do meat, you need more of a cold room. So you need something in there with, really good AC system or cooling system, and just to be keeping clean, a good block, or good tables to work on. But, I understand it. It's not for everybody.
You know what? Animals understand stuff, so when I'm filleting fish and my dog Buddy wants to start jumping up and showing himself, I'll get the knife and go, I know how to use a fillet knife. And he goes, oh, and then he runs off.
Yeah. We have a rather stupid Labradoodle here. It's a golden doodle.
Oh,
and she's a very sweet dog. but she is dumb as a rock. And you know, where it works out that they have, because she's, you know, she doesn't shed, and she's, you know, obviously hypoallergenic. Well, that's great, but when she goes out, she's got that big curly hair, and she happens to be white with splotches of brown. And she come back in, and she just is always, she got muddy feet. She looks dirty all the time, but I mean, she has a great life here on the farm because she's got so much space to run. But we've got a shock collar on her now because we have an area that we try and keep her in, but she just runs through it because she's got used to the power now. So she just takes a little bit of sting and just runs off and like looks at you, go like, okay, well, I'm gone. So, you know, but yeah,
Pretty cool. I really do like that. You know, pretty cool. You know, the supply chain, you know, has just really dropped. And I think more and more people are thinking about doing what you and I decided to jump the gun and do.
yeah, I think it's definitely something that, you know, and you don't need a, you know, a big plot of land. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, I mean, I have certain reservations about recommending it because a lot of the stuff they talk about is actually just, you know, not true, and it's just, you know, they're hyping it up for certain reasons. But it's the Zac Efron show on Netflix, and he goes to Australia, and there's a house in, I think it's in Melbourne, where the guy literally has everything is recirculated and reused. So we, you know, whether it be from even human waste, water, everything is gathered in the center of a city. Even he's completely off the grid in the middle of the city, grows his own food. And there's another house there where they literally have a restaurant running from this, and they do it exactly the same thing. They have all of this stuff laid out, and the waste goes through a process, and then it's, you know, put through the plants. The plants then grow, and then they serve it out as, you know, as a restaurant. It's kind of mind blowing, but it just shows you what you can do in limited space.
Absolutely. You know, there are people who own restaurants in New York who use the roof of the
Hmm.
building to have their own gardens,
Yeah.
huge spaces.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you don't need a lot. We're next year we're planning to do like, we're going to grow, and we're going to grow raised beds. The problem we have here is a lot of sand
Yeah.
and lots of ants. So we want raised beds so we can get, you know, good fertilizer. So we're actually going to do a compost heap as well. So we have our own compost heaps, and I'm going to try and set up rain collection and have that, because we got well water here, but just to rain collection just to help with that too. Because it's always handy to have that extra source. If the power ever goes out, you lose the well because you can't pump water up from the well without power. So unless you've got a, you know, a generator to stand by and do that, then there's always, I want something else there that if we need to in an emergency, we can have water.
So we got well here too. And growing, this is my grandparents' farm. You know, we bought it a few years ago. And so I remember a kid growing up. I didn't like water for some reason, but I would come here in the summer and stay about 2 or 3 weeks. You know, we grew up in Oxford, so then we come to Geraldine, my grandparents' house. And I don't know, something about the water just tastes good. I don't know if it's because it came out of the cylinder or what, but I would just drink and drink and drink water.
Yeah, and it's funny because a number of people that don't like the well water here, and I do.
Yeah,
There's
it is.
lots of copper in it, um, and you can tell that by the filter when you clean the filter out. I mean, and I drink it from the tap, and everybody else is going, "Oh, you should filter that or boil it first." I'm like, "Why? It's perfectly fine." I mean, it's all. I worry more about drinking, you know, the bottled stuff, the reaction to the plastic. We all know about that. If it's left in, you know, especially in heat, there's a reaction to the plastic. And you know, other sources of water. I mean, I used to live in Michigan, so I don't know if you heard about Flint. Flint water had, you know,
Yeah.
it was really bad water, and I always found that Michigan water was kind of just weird. It was weird what they did up there, but this, you're just taking water out. You know, it's just out of a well, and it's clean, it's clear, tastes good too.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
wonder too about, because I've been to stores, grocery stores, whatever, and you will see the bottled water in plastic laying outside in 90-degree weather. That
yeah,
can't be good. So
it's
when you
not.
buy from the store, who knows how long it's been sitting out somewhere
Yeah,
in the
no,
sun.
it's not good because the heat. and the plastic react, and then you start getting contaminants in the water. So even though, and a lot of that water is, if it's distilled water, it's no good. It's got nothing. There's nothing in there that's good for your body. It's just all the good stuff's been taken out. So shut that down. So all the good stuff's been taken out. And I think it was the first Zac Efron show. They did one where you go to France, and in Paris they actually have outlets so you can get water free, and they actually do water tests, and there's like some where they're very, very minerally, and people don't like the taste because they've been taken off that taste. It's like a lot of the the stuff that is homeopathic medicine. You've been led to believe that it's bad for you, and the only reason it was made to be bad for you, or said it was bad for you, is because Big Pharma wanted to make money selling you drugs. So they had to make stuff look bad or not good for you, to sell their drugs. And it's the same with water. We're selling bottled water now. The trouble is a lot of people now kicking back about buying bottled water because of all the bottles that just I remember as a kid drinking milk from a glass bottle. It was delivered to you by a milkman every morning or at school. Cartons, okay, but it's a waste. Whereas the milk bottles were actually recycled. They were cleaned, recycled. If they got broke, they got broke. So
I'd rather have glass containers for cooking as well. I really don't like the Tupperware and all that. To me, there is a taste. And if spaghetti sticks to the plastic bowl, I mean, I just throw it away.
yeah, and again, that
glass is cleaner.
Yeah, that was something I read about the other day. Even putting food into plastic containers and keeping it in your fridge, there's something that's released within the plastic that gets into the food. Unless you want to buy like cheese squares, which is just plastic anyway.
Yeah.
It's just crazy what we actually eat and and in this country as well. This country that uses a lot of stuff that's banned everywhere else in their food stuff.
So how well do you trust the USDA?
If it was to come between what I grew up with, Britain and the USDA, I'd trust Britain far more, because there's stuff in food here that shouldn't be in food, not at all, and it's bad for you. And it's almost like they're doing it for a reason. They want to keep it's like the amount of sugar in food over here is ridiculous.
Oh, it's unreal.
And it's almost like they just want you to be obese, and they want you to be diabetic, and they want you to be unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. I think it's fashioned that way.
I think so too. I think that there is definitely that's where they want us to be. And all the they say this is healthy, like cereal. And if you look at cereal, and I can't eat cereal. I mean, I eat cereal, but it makes me ill because there's way too much sugar in it. And then you look at the other stuff in there, it's not healthy at all. A lot of the stuff they promote that's actually healthy is way worse for you than the stuff they say is not.
Yeah, I know, like those bars, these energy bars and stuff like that. Have you really looked at the labels on those?
Yeah, you don't want to touch them.
You'd be better off with a piece of chocolate cake. I mean, really, you would be.
Yeah, it's like the colorings. In Europe, I was reading something the other day about the colorings. It's like, so in Europe they'll use a red dye, but it's actually like cranberries and stuff like that. It's more natural. Whereas over here it's red, whatever it is, red 2 or whatever that. And then the same with the blue. Over here it's it's not very good for you. And in Europe they use a more natural dye. And why do they do that? Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper in Europe, because Europe you can't do that anyway. But it's cheaper over here to put, the red 2 in there, or the red 11, or whatever it is, than go down the natural route.
Well, it's almost like if you eat too much sugar, you get brain fog,
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of people walking around, and I'm thinking, you eat too much sugar. Because it causes you not to be able to think. Is that part of the process too?
Yeah, there's the ability to think, and it's then just the fact that if you become like this, obese homebody, then they've already got you, because you're not going to go anywhere, you're not going to do anything, and you're going to carry on buying that stuff because one, sugar tastes good, and the body craves sugar. So if you want to start eating sugar, and then the body just craves it. So it's always, and because it just gives you a very brief euphoric feeling when you eat sugar, but then you suffer for it for the next few hours or the next few days. Is that you don't feel good, you don't feel, you have no energy, because you get that like little burst of energy, and then you have that massive drop of nothingness.
Mm-hmm. I was watching a commercial on television last night, and I really pay attention to commercials because I'm in the business. And so Phil, I thought I was going to die laughing at him, what he said, his response. So a lady had said that she had lost a bunch of weight, like 100 pounds or something like that. And she said, and this is what she said, she did not drink colas with sugar in them. She used to drink diet colas. And so why would you gain weight? And I've heard some research has been done on this too, where you're still gaining weight if you drink and it's got acetone, whatever in it. If you're drinking diet colas, it's just not good for you.
Yeah, no, it's not. In fact,
you're better off with sugar.
You are. My ex from Oxford, who you knew, she literally used to drink. She used to carry around a 2-liter Diet Coke all the time. Even when we went to Paris, we went to a little brasserie cafeteria, and I had a carafe of wine, and it was like two euros. She had a Pepsi Light, Coca Light, which is Diet Coke, and it was 4 euros. And she said, "Why is that more expensive than your wine?" And I said, "Well, they make the wine here, they import that. So what we'll do from now on is we'll just go to the local store and we'll buy you, they only did 1 liters," but she would carry that 1 liter around in her handbag and drink it. And it was like, but you do realize that that's just the most unhealthy drink. And the ingredients in that are not good for you. And she was like trying to lose weight, and I'm like, yeah, but you're not losing weight because you're putting sugar in your body, and a lot of sugar in your body, and you're quite happy carrying that stuff around. I mean, you could drink wine all day, and yes, okay, so you're putting some sugar in your body, but most of it's it's alcohol. Yes, you're going to get a little bit of weight, but not the same as if you were drinking the amount of Diet Coke.
It's what you get used to, because like I make my own juice here, and we have like blackberries and grapes and stuff like that. So I make my own juice, and I put one tablespoon per quart of sugar. It's all juice, 1 tablespoon of sugar in each quart. That's it, and it's sweet enough. You don't need it. You don't need the extra sugar.
Yeah, no, you don't. I mean, that's the funny thing is,
full of it.
I drink like cordials that I get from the UK that I grew up with as a kid. So you get like orange cordial. As a kid, I didn't have Coke or Pepsi. We had like the cheap versions if you wanted them, but our taste was so different over there as a kid. So you had these cordials, so they were concentrated, fruit juices that you would just put into the bottom of a glass and add water. And I find them over here, and they're so much better for you because you don't need a lot unless you want it stronger. Ribena, I love Ribena. If you find it in any stores, you're going to pay like $8-9 a bottle now, which is ridiculous, but it's one of my favorite drinks. I don't want it out of a can because it's carbonated, but if you get the bottle and just put in a little bit and then add water, it's nice. And it's blackcurrant, which over here your blackcurrant doesn't taste like blackcurrant. If you get Ribena and try it, you'll be like, oh wow, this is amazing.
Well, we went to Africa. It was a missionary trip, and I'll have to tell you, they had the best bananas there. There was just a special. They were sweet but not overpowering sweet, and they were ripe but not ripe. You know what I'm talking about? Because I don't know if they sit on it forever or what the deal is. But your bananas, I mean, they're only good for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Here.
I like my bananas literally just coming out of green.
I do
literally
too.
just coming out of green. Once they get too yellow, I'll eat them, but I'm not keen on them. I like them just when they're coming out of green. So they're not really, really sweet. There's a sweetness there, but they're just about right, and they're nice and firm before they get all that peely sinew where you're like always forever picking bits off because it just doesn't feel good.
You know what I'm finding? I've done a lot of research, and so I'm friends with a lot of preppers now, just all over the country. They throw nothing away.
No.
But you know, we throw good stuff away. The banana peel, the inside of that, don't throw that away. You can use that for skincare. I mean, it is awesome what it can do for your skin.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we throw away anyway. I mean, if it's like when we have chickens, I mean, you just don't throw anything away because chickens will actually eat anything.
They'll
I
eat
mean,
everything.
so I mean, and all you got to do is, if you want to, chop it up, grind it up, whatever, make a mulch out of it. But then, again, with the compost, if you're gonna, don't throw food away. And I mean, even the fish. To be honest with you, the fish will eat anything. I threw an apple core in there just the other week just to see. It's a whole apple core, and they come up and nibbled it, and then one just came out and took the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. But it's catfish, and catfish will literally eat anything.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that should go to waste.
We've got to go into a commercial break. We'll have about 3 commercials, and then we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. We're going to be right back.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest My Pillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere My Pillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have My Pillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing My Pillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, bolster pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement and heifers. I call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home. We're on IC Radio. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. It's always so good to be with you. And go check out Lone Tree Ranch. They're located just right down the road from us. And so that's we buy all of our beef from them. Do a great job. Best burgers you'll ever have. You know, Rick, I don't buy beef from the grocery store anymore. Not since I'm using Lone Tree Ranch.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, actually, did you voice those ads?
Mhm. Yeah.
You should let me do your recording.
Shut up, Rick.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, look, when I eventually come to see you, I'm going to bring my secondary, which is now my first soundboard is now my secondary soundboard,
Mhm.
and believe me, it's different world.
Well, I have a soundboard, and for some reason I can't get it to connect. It's not.
If you listened to me and got what I told you to do, you'd have no problem whatsoever. See, mine connects to everything because it's that good and literally does everything.
So what's the name brand of yours?
Rode, RODE.
I'm using the PV, and it's a good machine. I just can't
Yes,
get it
I
to
mean,
work.
I've got great secondary machines, but I've got two Rodes. I've got this one, which is the Rodecaster 2, and I've got the Rodecaster 1. Rodecaster 1 is a great system. I didn't have to change it, but when they brought out the 2, they literally turned this into a mobile studio that does everything. Literally.
I can do that by the touch of a button and make it sound funny.
And then I can just come back and and everything's got either touch button or a slider. I've got 9 sliders, 3 virtuals. This is a really good system. It
Well,
should
this
be
one is.
worth at
I
least
just need to
3
spend
times this.
I just need to stop and spend time with it. That's my problem. I'm doing
You-
other
When,
things.
when do you get time to spend with anything? You
I
you
don't.
just keep yourself way too busy.
Yeah, well, I enjoy it. You know, the kids show starts this coming month. I'm looking forward to that. I get to
I'll
dress
have-
up like a clown. And
I'll
so
have to-
I'll be in a clown outfit. Now, you know, my one dream, I shared this with you years ago. My one dream is to dress up like a clown and go to children's hospitals and be around kids. And so I
Okay.
kind of get to do that with the show.
Well, that's cool.
I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
I did a Christmas show once, a joke Christmas show where I did a kids program, and
I bet you
yes.
freak the kids out. They're afraid of you, right?
No, actually, no one's ever seen it because it was deemed that bad.
Well,
Which
I'm
I
looking
think I think he's funny. I've just got a warped sense of humor. That's all.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I do.
Now this this soundboard is actually it's a Bluetooth as well. It's 10 channel. And I've had it for what, a year, 2 years?
You've had it for a year because you literally got it at the same time as I got the other one.
Hmm. And
Mhm.
I can't, well, just got to spend some time with it. That's all there is to it.
Well,
Anyway, I agree with you. I think it would sound a whole lot better with this soundboard.
Well, I could sing the praises of this every day. They had a few teething problems with this one when it first came out, but the engineers at Rode, which is an Australian company, are very good. It's the same with the mic. The mic's a Rode. I have a Rode on my camera. The sound technology is just it's perfect, and there are so many good things about this board that I love. But
Okay,
you've already
you got me excited now. You got me excited. I will work on it. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I will work on it.
it changes the whole feel of your show.
Mhm.
I mean, I used to come up and do all this, and people go like, you just come back from the microphone a little bit because I don't need to be all that. I mean, it's coming through, perfect clear, and I can put the big end on this so it makes it sound a little bit more bassy. There's all these presets that are on it that I can take off, the noise gates, whatever else. It gets very technical, and it's taken me a while to actually learn all the bits and pieces that you have to adjust to do something like this. But when you get it right, it makes you sound like $1 million. And when you sound like $1 million, hey, sound is huge. It's important. People will turn off your video if the sound's bad.
See, I just think it's cool. I'm looking at it. I just need to fix it. That's all I've got to do.
There you go.
But if you have any tips you want to share, I'll take them.
Well, I always share tips. I share about cameras.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
Remember
Remember
the Stream Deck? The Stream Deck, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man, I love the Stream Deck. I mean, this
Stream
is
Deck's amazing.
I can't believe how much nicer that is. I mean, I just
I've used that. And I've used that on my laptop when I do like my mock radio shows and mock TV shows and everything else, to bring in other cameras, bring in other sounds. I mean, and you've literally got a studio there. You know, they can sell you these units that will do all this, and you go like, I don't need that. I can put 2 cameras up, and I can make it look like I'm being filmed by 2 cameras with a crew, and I'm just touching buttons in front of me while I'm still talking, you know, acting like I'm not doing anything. And that's just crazy. But that Stream Deck is an amazing piece of kit, just like
So you
everything. I
can
mean,
just take a camera through Stream Deck.
you can put anything through Stream Deck. If it's on your computer, you can put it through there as a control. So you
Could
can
I put
literally,
the soundboard through it?
yeah, if you're, I mean, you should be able to. I don't know. I'd have to see, because how you connect your everything up. See, mine goes through. Does your computer recognize your sound system?
No, that's the problem.
Yeah. See, my computer sees this, and then I just tell it this is what everything goes through. And then like even with OBS, I'll tell it that I'm using this, and because this has got like a system on it too. So if when you're talking to me, you don't hear yourself coming back, you don't get that, you know, that horrible repeat where you hear the echo. This has got, it's all built in and everything else, but it's all recognized by the computer. It has its own software so that you can update it any time you want. You can make changes to any of these keypads on the computer.
Mhm. So do I need to take all the other sound systems off and then just start all over?
No, because your computer should be able to recognize it. If it sees it, it should be able to recognize it.
I just can't get it to. And this is a new computer. Sometimes I think the old computer was better than the new one.
I don't know what to say. Just listen to me.
I will listen to you. That's my stuff. I will listen to you. You're gonna have to come down
Yeah.
and do all this stuff.
Yeah, you do listen to me, and then you'll be in the right place. Because
I wouldn't go that far.
okay.
All right, I'll tell
All
you what. You teach me this stuff, I'll teach you about a garden.
About a garden. Okay.
Oh, you already know how to do a garden, right?
Well, I mean, so at school, so there's many things that I did at school. One of them, in my first 2 years of high school, I learned to sail. I actually went, and we had a class where we went to sail. And to do this, they taught you how to go out on the lake, sail around, you know, change direction, all that stuff, and capsize the boat and rewrite the boat to pass. So I did that. We also, for the first 4 years, did rural science, which meant we had a sort of rural science block where you went and you learned how to plant grow, you learned crop rotation, you learned all about that stuff in the classroom. And it was amazing. And people go like, oh, you learned that at school? Yeah, it was actually a very, very good
school like that. It was just, you know.
Yeah, see, I did metal work, woodwork, technical drawing, art, rural science. All of those stuff it was on the table when we first went. Once you got to your third or fourth, I think it was 4th year, you could then you could change things and choose the ones you wanted to do. We even did religious education up until I was 14, and then I opted out. But then when I was 15, I had a spare period during the week, and I actually went and saw my chemistry teacher, who was actually a religious education teacher too. And I said to him, what we want to learn about is other religions. We've had Christianity for so long. We just want a balanced view. So we went and learned about other religions on top of the Christianity we'd learned. It gives you a very much more broader view of religion as it is, so you can actually argue stuff or talk about stuff in a less biased way, because that's what we wanted to do.
You need to know what the other side does too.
Exactly. So I went to a very, very good school. And, unfortunately, I don't think it's the same anymore.
How can you argue the point if you don't know what they're doing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the main drive for that is I was walking through town one day, and this Hare Krishna guy come up to me, and he wanted to give me this book and this LP, this long playing record. And he said, it's going to cost you this. And I said, look, I don't have that. I said, I'll tell you what, I said, I've got some change in my pocket. He said, he goes, okay, you give me the change in your pocket and you can have both of these items. So I gave him, I think it was 87 pence. It wasn't even a pound, 87 pence. And his look on his face was like, oh, well. So he gave me the book and gave me the LP. The LP was just absolute junk. There was one song on there that I remember. We were all just monkeys that crawled out of the mud. We're all just made of protoplasmic crud. And that was one of the lines. And I just thought that was like the coolest line. But the rest of the album was just rubbish. And then there was this book about Krishna and about, all of that. And that was interesting. And that's what really drove me to go to the teacher and say, hey, look, we want to learn about all these other religions, because it was interesting. It just gave you a different viewpoint. And, you could see where it all tied in with, certain other things and certain beliefs, and, just give you a better view of things.
See, I think where we're going wrong is, as a whole in this country, is people don't want to do any research anymore. I mean, it's fed to you, and you just kind of take it because it's fed to you through the media or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You just don't dig.
Yeah, they don't want to do research. They don't want to do any work, to be honest with you. I mean, a lot of people just don't want to do the work. They just don't want to, put time into to understand anything. And it's like, well, if you can pay someone to do something, we'll let them do it. And that's fine. But, at some point in your life, I mean, I watch YouTube videos, I read, and if there's something that I know I can fix, or I'm going to have a go at fixing, then you learn, and that's all there's people on YouTube that are teaching you how to do things. You can actually go to university and get virtually the same education at university for free on YouTube if you want to go looking for it. But there's people not going to be bothered because it doesn't give them the same kudos, because they didn't get their bit of paper saying it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all about learning. Life is about learning, and you can learn without having to go to university. You can learn without going to school if you really want to. It's just application. If you apply yourself to anything, you can do it.
I'm pretty good at freaking people out anyway. But when I took on the bees, when we took on the bees, like, we're beekeepers. So when we did, I'm telling you, people were freaking. They were going, "Really? You're a beekeeper?" But you just have to. You have to be not afraid of them, I guess, is the biggest deal. So I was renting this guy, he's a beekeeper, and he had this dog, and this dog was like, barky and everything else. So I just walked up to the dog and said, "Oh, come on, dog." And he stopped barking. And he looked at me and he said, "You're going to be a good beekeeper." And I said, "Why?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Because you just talk to them. That's all you have to do. If you're afraid of them, they know it."
And you're right. It's like any of those animals, they pick up on your pheromones, and if your pheromones, you release pheromones when you're fearful, and if you do that, then they're more likely to attack you anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but same with dogs. Again, you've done the right thing. You talk to it, you speak to it. I have people run away, and it's like, well, the dog, even though it's a golden doodle, it will run. It's got legs that are really long. It just wants to run. So if you run, it's going to chase you. And then it thinks you're playing with them, and it's going to try and bite you. Not in a vicious way. She's just playful biting. But that's what they do. So you have to show that. Don't be fearful. It's like a lot of things. Yes, you always get a little bit fearful. A good bit of fear is good for you, because it makes you realize, when you get butterflies in your stomach and you're a bit scared about something, that's a good thing, because it shows you not
fear, or is that perception?
Well, I put it down to, it's like when you're going on stage for the first time, you get butterflies, you're scared, you're wondering how you're going to be, are you going to look good, are you going to sound good, are you going to do all this? That's a natural fear, but that fear helps you. If you didn't have that fear, you would probably go the other way, and you would probably be terrible, because it's all these people that really get cocky about things, and then they go in there and they're just awful because they don't have the fear. They've been led to believe by bad parents or by society that they are perfect and that they do a great job, and they don't have they don't have the skills. You go like, okay, whatever. So that there's a healthy thing about having nerves and having a bit of fear, because it does make you, you know, a little bit more aware of what's going on and be better.
I'm going to send you a video, or actually, yeah, I'm going to send you a video of a guy who keeps sending me music, and he's not talented. And I've actually told him that.
Again, you know, see, that's the point, is you get somebody who does that and you're just like, they've been told probably all their life that they're really, really good, or that, you know, they
I don't
deserve
know
this.
who can tell this guy he's good. I don't know who.
Well, you know, there's a lot of bad people in the world that do. I mean, the only part of American Idol I like is the auditions, because there are people that come on there and they're all full of themselves, thinking that they're great, and they are awful. And you just go, oh my, wow, what even possessed you to think that you could go on that show and sing? You know, I know I can't sing, and people go like, oh no, you can, you can, you've got a good voice. No, I don't have a good voice. I'm a realist. I know that there's certain songs that I can hold, there's certain notes that I can hold, but across the board, no, I cannot sing, and I'll stick to that. And that's how these people should be. But the trouble is we live in a world where they get they get a little trophy for participating, and that's all it's about. Is what,
Everybody
you know.
gets a trophy. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one of the worst things we ever did to the kids, is where everybody gets a trophy. But I have to tell you, I loved American Idol when Simon was on it. I stopped watching it when he left. I like Simon because he was so real. I mean, he would just tell people, like, he would say, this one lady was so funny. She said, I'll have you. He just told her to stop. She was singing it, and he just said, stop, stop. Well, she stopped singing, and she said, why? And he said, because you're terrible. He said, you're not good at this. Well, she gets all really mad at him when he said that. And she said, I'll have you know, Simon, I took voice lessons. You know what he said? You need to go get your money. You need to go get your money back because it didn't work.
It's very British. Well, that's the huge problem. And again, you know, it's my favorite one is when Susan Boyle came on, and straight away everybody's perception was, who is this old woman with the big eyebrows, the out of fashion frock, the like out of fashion hair, who was a little bit kind of like, you know, very wee Scottish, and, you know, like very kind of ditzy. And then she opened her lungs up and sang, you know, the song, and you go like, wow, because this is somebody that probably goes like, I can sing, but I don't think I'm that good. And you just go like, wow, yes, you are. There are people there that think that they can sing and they can't, and will believe that, you know, they wouldn't take the criticism, you know. So we live in a really, really, really weird world where, in fact, last year we did a competition at work, and I gave everybody participation trophies, and they were like, why are you doing that? I said, because you're American. I know what you would expect this.
Good.
Because you expect it. So
I don't know. I guess it was from my era. I think I was raised actually in the best era, even though there were issues there. But I still think I was, you know, raised in, because not everybody got a trophy. And so
No.
this is because I always loved to run. Well, I came in like third place. Well, I went home and told my parents I came in third place. There was not a lot of kids, but, you know, I should have been proud of that. I wanted to be number one. So all my parents, they didn't go to the school and argue with the coaches, none of that stuff. They just said, well, then you try harder next year.
Yeah. You did by trying harder. You know, if you didn't get first place, then, I mean, I got a football trophy. I got a little football medal because I was part of a winning team. Okay. And that was great for me. But, you know, did we get the big trophy? No. Did I want the big trophy? Yeah. Well, the only way you get the big trophy is play better, beat the other teams, beat that team that won. And it was more competitive. And, you know, you were told, I mean, we were told, if you were useless or rubbish, you were told that, you know. It was just like, maybe you want to think about doing art instead, because there are some people just, hey, you need to do art. And they go like, why? Well, because you're not very athletic. Or you'd find people in the band, and they belonged in the band because that was where they were good at. They were good at band. They weren't good at playing sport, you know.
Yeah, you just have to do what your talent is. and try not to be like somebody else. So do you feel this way? Do you feel ambition is being taken away from the kids, our kids in the States? Is that for a reason? Why would you not have ambition? Because you and I were raised on being ambitious.
Yeah, well, I think the trouble is, it's not even that it's been taken away. I think it's just been redirected in the wrong direction. Today, the ambition is about being an Instagram star and making lots of money doing nothing, being an influencer, because it's easy. Making all these monies doing resales. There's all these like little side jobs, side hustles that people can do, and I'm sure that they can make money,
Mhm.
but there's it's a hit and miss, and
But not
again,
everybody does.
yeah, not everybody can do it. Not everybody is good at it. There are some people that are just very, very good at doing what they do. Like anything in life, there's really good people that can do it, and then there's just everybody else and all these other people. Well, I want to do that. Well, you have to really take a good hard look at yourself and go, well, one, do I have the personality to do that? I know that there's things that I'd love to do, but I don't have the personality for it, or I don't have the interest to go any further than what it is right now in that, or certain things. So I know my limitations. And again, every man should know his limitations, and that includes women. No limitations of what you can do and what you can't do. But I don't think that that's instilled in people today. I just think they're told you can do whatever you want and you can make whatever you want. And they look at all these other people doing it and think that they can do it.
But on the other hand, if you're not taught ambition, and if everybody's given a trophy, and I'm normally, say, a straight A student, but I'm seeing the guy who normally fails is getting the same grade I'm getting, does not that not instill a belief in you that what's the
Yeah.
reason behind?
I think if you if you come from a competitive household, my kid, my boy was very competitive. My daughter is competitive, and they still are. And, again, different era, but that was instilled in them, probably by me and society at the time, where you had to fight, you had to challenge, you had to better yourself. You couldn't just sit on your laurels and go, well, it's all right. I will sail through this. And that's the trouble is, when you get like education systems that, okay, you're going no child left behind. Well, at some point you've got to say, well, is that fair to everybody else? Because you've got people that are going to be, way more intelligent than that child who's you don't want to leave behind. But at some point you have to. You have to go like, okay, we've got to look after these people because these people are showing, initiative and strength in what they want to do and how they want to do it, and they've learned and they're, better at processing it. Whereas this person here, they're just not up to the match. And it was the same when I was in the Air Force. If you could do this and get to this point, then you would move on. If you couldn't, then you were backflighted and you were put into the next intake coming in. And they all knew that you were backflighted. And they go like, well, are you stupid or something? I mean, because if you can't get through this stuff, then there's obviously something wrong with you. And eventually it gets to the point, if you've been backflighted so many times, they're just going to say, no, sorry, this is not for you. You've got to go. Do we do that anymore?
No, we don't do that at all. And you're expected to give, okay, someone was employed with me who was stealing from me. Okay. And it was the person I least expected. I mean, it just really blew my mind. So she stole and she had to pay it back. So, and she did. And her husband and my sister's husband were brothers. So that made it even worse. So I found out it was her. We had noticed the money was missing, and Phil found it. And he said, I know who it is. And so I called her into the office and I told her that we knew about it. And I said, you better get my $13,000 by tomorrow noon.
Wow.
Her husband actually worked for the sheriff's department. And I said, by noon, or, I'm pressing charges. And I've got all the guts on you. I know how you did it and everything. So then she starts talking about she has a baby. And I said, you had a baby when you were stealing from me. And I said, it's not even the money. It's that you thought I would be so stupid as to never figure it out. I said, that makes me more mad than you stealing the money. So very long story short is I could have quietly done this, but I wanted to make an example to the rest of the employees. Don't mess with me. Don't steal my money. I paid them well, by the way. They got paid more than anybody else in the same industry. And it's just, you wanted
Yeah,
to lay
but
the way out. You wanted to steal.
yeah, I mean, and again, I think you were right in doing that. Would would it be the same today? Would you be able to do it today? Trouble is that everybody's like so protected today. I mean, we have people. I mean, it's getting to the point now where even right to work states are having issues when you're trying to get rid of somebody. You can't just, in the old days, you're like, look, we don't need you anymore. You're done. Now you have to have like, a list of, things that have happened, why, and literally have a whole mechanism behind that as to why this person can no longer work for you.
Mhm.
I mean, but it might just simply be that they are totally useless or just the wrong fit for the company, but you can't do anything about it until you have all of this stuff in line and ready to go, so that if it comes back to you, goes, oh, we're not firing, you don't give them a reason either. You don't give them, if they come back and say, well, I want a reason, then you can just bring up all of this. This is everything. And then they can't win. But if you give them a reason, then they'll take that to a lawyer, and then the lawyer will fight it for you, but fight it for them. But again, this is why we make notes and just keep literally everything, reports. If they're on a job, you go like, okay, if they do something wrong, write it in an email and send it to yourself. Don't do anything else with it. Just send it to yourself. Then you've always got it. And then if anything comes up, you can just send all this stuff in list. Hey, on this day they did this. On this day they did this. They said this. They did this. They did. I said, then we have literally a history of how bad they've been.
That's a great idea because you've got the time, the date, everything stated
Yes.
on that email. I think that's
Yes.
great. I'd print it
Yeah.
off too, just in case
Yeah.
something happened.
Yeah, I mean, and we get our guys. We have them. One of the first things. In fact, one of the guys complained the other day saying we send people in the field without any report writing skills, and I'm like, well, that's actually not true. I identified that as a weakness. So when I started doing the training at the beginning of this year, when our first training course, we did it the old way, and everybody was like, "What is that going to be?" I said, "No, that's what we've been doing, and that's how bad it is. And next time we're going to change it to this." And then the next one blew them away because I just introduced a few different ways of getting the message across, and bringing a few more into it, like getting up at the beginning of the meeting, beginning of the training course. They stood up, told us, I said, I want who you are, what you do, and why you think you're here. And then we get to know you a little bit. And they go, oh, that's a great idea. I'm like, I've done it every single time I've gone somewhere. We should have been doing this from a long time ago. But one of the things we introduced was report writing, because part of our job is to make accurate reports. What you're looking for, who, what, where, when, why. All of those things need to be reported, and how you would do it and how you would write it. And so everybody does that now. And it helps us immensely when they're out on a job and they go like, what should I be? Document it, write a report.
Mhm.
They go like, oh yeah, okay.
I had an employee file, and every time I talked to somebody, every time they did something they shouldn't do, I had it down with the time and the date and what have you on it.
Yep.
Let's talk about kids again just for a minute. I'm not saying all kids are bad kids, not at all. There are some that are very ambitious, but the most ambitious kids I've run across are the ones who are homeschooled.
Yes.
I mean, I would be homeschooling Brad right now.
I would agree with you. I mean, right now, I think that, and young kids are, they just want to learn. I mean, you can make them, very self-dependent. I mean, my son-in-law here, he has 3 young girls, and they're like soaking up everything. The eldest one's 7, the youngest one's just over 2, and they just soak up so much. They want to watch them cook. They want to, the 7-year-old literally can pretty much look after herself if need be. But it's kind of refreshing as well, because they're super, super smart too.
Mhm.
too smart for me sometimes, because you just go like, wow, yeah. But is it a bad thing? No, it's a great thing. But at the same time, I can't do anything without them wanting to know what I'm doing and how I can do it. Like even just the Christmas tree lights, the little one, she doesn't like the white lights, so she wants the colored lights. So I'm like, don't show her how to do the light change. So because she gets, and because then after that, you can't give them any of this. No, they're broken, because they know exactly where to go to start pressing around with the lights, because it's underneath the tree and it's a red button. And it's like, you just make a rod for your own back. But at the same time, these girls in a few years' time will be like, super, super smart, and they'll know how to do things because that's just the way they've been raised.
We were going to a church, and this is a family. It's a pastor and his wife, and they had, I think it's like 6 kids, smartest kids you will ever meet. So I just talked to the pastor's wife, and I said, "Are your kids homeschooled?" And she said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And I said, "I can just tell." And what happens is when she's teaching a lesson, the younger kids are listening, so that, like you said, they're all soaking it in.
Yes. Yep. It's quite amazing how much these youngsters can take in, and actually churn out and work out, and problem solving. And you're watching problem solve, and it's kind of amazing when you see little kids solving a problem, and just like you going like, wow.
Maybe they need to be hired at some of the fast food restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, me at that age, I'd have been going like, "Yeah, Mom, can you come do this?" Because we weren't in that league. We weren't shown all that stuff, because I grew up with a dad who didn't want you to do all that stuff. My mum not so much, but I mean, my dad didn't want you doing all that. In fact, this is how my dad was. We went out for a drive on one Sunday morning. And so I was living in Haverhill, so it was before the age of 8. So I don't know exactly how old I was. I was probably around about 6, 7. I was riding around in the front of the car, no seatbelt, because in those days this was
That's
60s.
right. I should be dead. No seatbelt.
Yep, no
What about
seatbelt.
that in this segment?
We go screeching through this little village, and it's an early Sunday morning, and he comes screeching to a halt, jumps out with a screwdriver, lops 4 hubcaps off a car, throws them in the footwell by my feet, and turns around and goes, "Don't tell your mother." Just, and it's one of the most endearing memories I've ever had, is the fact that my dad, at a very early age, told me it was okay to steal, as long as my mum didn't know. It was okay to steal. And that's the one thing that stuck with me. And you start thinking about it, and you go like, okay, that's the influence that your parents have over you. And that's the one thing that you've taken from your childhood. I'm surprised that I've turned out half the person that I've turned out to be, where I should be in jail, to be honest with you.
I think you turned out pretty good. We're going to have to call it a day. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's always fun.
Oh, thank you, Donna. It's always a pleasure.
We'll be seeing you a little bit later, and you come back for the next segment. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye, Rick.
Bye.